Hey, folks, welcome to Titan Traders, where I, Gareth Soloway, interview some of the greatest investing minds in the world. I'm truly honored to introduce my guest today, world renowned in the investing world, having run one of the most profitable hedge funds in history, banking over 4,000% in 10 years while the S&P returns just 47%. The fund was called Quantum Fund and started with George Soros. He retired at 38 to travel the world, an amazing author and one of my personal heroes in the investing world. I would like to welcome Jim Rogers to Titan Traders. Welcome, Jim.
Gareth, it's nice to see you again. It's been a while.
Yes, absolutely. And thank you for taking the time. I'm sure you're very, very busy.
My pleasure. You kidding? Thank you for taking the time.
Thank you. So we'll get right into it. So there's so many interesting things I kind of want to pick your brain on. The first thing I kind of wanted to touch on is asking you. You first started your business. Your first business was when you were at age 5, and you retired at 38. And I talked to so many new investors. I mean, millions of accounts have been opened in the last year during the pandemic, and people are just constantly saying, well, to be successful, what kind of mindset do I need to have? And I was curious what kind of mindset you thought you had, or what advice you could give to people that are just starting out.
Well, I guess the main mindset was I was poor and didn't have any money, and I didn't like it. And I wanted to be free someday. Gareth, I didn't try to make money so I could buy cars or planes or houses or boats. I just wanted to buy my freedom. I wanted to be free to do anything I wanted. I didn't want to have to be nice to people. I didn't want to be nice. That's all I wanted. I was a simple person. And I guess it's because I grew up in a very rural, remote area. Nobody had any money. I went off to university and found out that there were people who had money, and I wasn't one of them. And I wanted to be free someday.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. I
But
somewhat grew up in the same, not quite super poor, but both my parents teachers. And I still remember vividly in high school, I got my first introduction to investing through kind of a stock market investment game. And it was during the late 90s when the dot-coms were going nuts. And I had a fake 100,000 account. And I remember growing it to 200,000. And in my head, I think I got an allowance of maybe $1 a week at that point. And it was just, even though it was fake money, it was incredible. And I said, wow, this can be, I could do this. And so, yeah, that's such an amazing story you have there. I just read that about, you sold peanuts, right? That was your first.
yeah, so peanuts and Coca-Cola said at baseball games and football games, because nobody else was doing it. And so I made some money and realized it was possible, but I also realized it was a lot of hard work. If you want to be successful, you got to work hard, and money doesn't fall out of the sky. When I first went to Wall Street, I heard people saying some of the most astonishing things. And I said, what are they talking about? It's hard to get money. Money's hard to get. It's not that easy. That was in a bull market. That was in one of the great bubbles of American history. And of course, that bubble popped and a lot of people lost lots of money.
Yeah, absolutely. Now turning to the Federal Reserve, this is something that just recently, just as on Wednesday, we heard from Jerome Powell kind of talking about, maybe starting to talk about raising rates. We saw the market initially sell off, rates popped, and then rates kind of came back in. I mean, are you a fan of the Fed? Do you think that they're behind the curve, in front of the curve? What are your kind of thoughts on what they're trying to do, and will they be successful, or are they creating another bubble that's going to burst?
We've had 3 central banks in American history. The first 2 disappeared for a variety of reasons. In my view, this one's going to disappear too, because they're making so many mistakes. It's astonishing who these guys are. They all are bureaucrats and academics. They don't know the world, and they think that they can save their jobs by printing money and driving interest rates to the lowest in world history. It's not going to work. It's going to end badly. But the worst part of it is, Gareth, you and I and many other people are going to suffer because these guys think they know what they're doing.
Yeah, and you got to wonder again, every time we go through a bubble is created, whether it was the housing crisis or the dot-coms, those are the ones that I've traded through myself. But there were obviously many more prior to that. But they seem to lower interest rates more and more to get us out of the next crash. And the question is, well, where is the next place to go? I mean, what's the ultimate outcome? Do we just have a total collapse and have to start from scratch again?
Well, Gareth, interest rates are the lowest they've been in world history. The US can go a little bit lower. They're not zero yet, but in much of the world, they are zero or even below zero. So we're coming to the end of this game. Yes, they can keep trying. Yes, they can buy more bonds. They can print money and buy bonds. The Japanese are doing that. The head of the Bank of Japan goes to work every day. He's a good Japanese bureaucrat, prints money as fast as he can. In his words, unlimited. I will print unlimited amounts of money. And he buys stocks and ETFs and bonds. Yeah, we haven't gotten quite to that stage yet in the US, but we can. But we're sure getting close to the end.
Do you think that when it all collapses, will what emerges be a digital dollar, cryptocurrency? I mean, what comes out of this kind of mess that's being created?
Well, Gareth, all money is going to be on the internet eventually. In Japan, in China, it already. You cannot take a taxi in China with money. You cannot buy an ice cream with money in China. Everything is already on the computer, and most other countries are working towards that end. Yes, governments love it. It's cheaper. It's easier. They love, and they have complete control. They know everything you do. They're going to call you up one day, Gareth, and say, you have had too much coffee this month. And they're going to, because they love knowing what you're doing. So it's all going to be on the computer someday. But in my view, it's going to be government money. Governments don't like to lose control. They don't like losing monopoly. I don't think when the US says, okay, this is US money now, I don't think the US is going to say, but if you want to use something else, you can use that money if you want to. It's not the way those guys think.
Do you think that then Bitcoin gets outlawed, or do you think there's a place in the future for it as a digital gold?
Digital gold. Well, we can certainly have digital gold. That's easy to do. Will be easy once the computers get up to it. I suspect, as I said, all money is going to be crypto money, but it's going to be government crypto money. They will either outlaw or tax or regulate or something any competing money. That's what they've always done. At one point in England, the Bank of England made it an act of treason to use anything except their money as money. Well, act of treason, Gareth, means they execute you. Needless to say, most people reacted. They didn't want to be executed. So, I mean, these guys have the guns, they have the power, and they do strange things of which many of us do not approve, but they have the guns.
So would still be a place. I mean, I'm getting from you that you're obviously not invested in Bitcoin or Ether or any of those. Do you like gold still as an investment? Is that still an alternative to protecting yourself?
Gold. I own gold. I own silver. I see inflation coming and getting worse. It's here already. It's going to get worse. And throughout history, real assets have been the way to protect yourself. The Bitcoin guys say, or the crypto guys say, we are the way to protect yourself. Maybe, but I'm an old peasant, and all of us old peasants know that when things go wrong, we better have some silver in the closet. We better have some gold under the bed.
Yeah, that's what I have. I have some physical myself, and it just makes me sleep better at night. Absolutely.
Well, if you sleep on it, it's hard, but it's certainly
not literally under the mattress, right?
It's certainly consoling to have real assets.
Absolutely. Now China recently has launched the digital yuan. I've speculated that their thought process is, and then they've really gone hard against cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin. Are they trying to kind of become the future reserve currency of the world and make sure that future transactions are done in yuan?
Well, no central currency has lasted more than 100, 150 years in history. The US dollar has been on top for several decades. We have political problems. When the US gets angry at you, they put sanctions on you and say you cannot use the US dollar. Well, the world's international medium of exchange is supposed to be neutral. It's not supposed to be like that. So many people are starting to say, well, we have to find something else. So they are now looking for something to compete with the US dollar. And for economic reasons, we are the largest debtor nation in world history. I don't like saying that, but I have to face facts. So for economic and political reasons, people are looking to compete with the US dollar, and that has always led to the demise of the world's #1 currency. And I don't like saying it, but I can see that the US dollar is going to have problems down the road. I own US dollars now, but I know what's going to happen.
Yeah. And do you think that the timeline is a decade before there's major issues? I mean, obviously we see the cracks already emerging with the Fed just, their balance sheet rising, the government debt rising. But I mean, do investors have time to readjust their portfolios, or is it something that it's, they need to do immediately?
It's not going to happen in July of 2021. It might happen in July of 2024, 25. The world is working in that direction now. When the pound sterling lost its status, it took a while. It took years, in fact. But eventually it happened. Nobody thinks of the pound sterling as anything now, much less the world's medium of exchange, a reserve currency. So it'll take a while, but people need to start realizing they need to watch, Titan traders to know what's going on so that they can start preparing for what's going to happen.
Absolutely. And my one question is I've been struggling myself with oil. Oil obviously has rallied significantly on reopening. Part of me says, okay, it's a commodity, so as the dollar gets diluted, it should go higher. But then you have this big push for alternate energy. Is there still a place for oil to go higher in the future, or is it one of the commodities you'd more stay away from?
No, it can certainly go higher. The known reserves of oil are in decline. That's been going on for years. We came up with fracking, which turned into a bubble. If you could spell fracking, people would write you a check. Now they realize, oh, they have to pay their bills. They have to make money. Fracking is not going away, but in the meantime, known reserves continue to decline. I mean, I own oil energy. I'm not selling it yet because I know that when supply declines, you can have a bull market even if demand goes down. If you have time, let me tell you about lead. Lead used to be in paint and gasoline, and they eliminated it. No more lead in paint, no more lead in gasoline. What do you think would lead disappear? At a huge bull market because there was no supply. Yes, the demand went down in some areas, but supply disappeared. So we had a big bull market. And back to the previous conversation, I don't know if the renminbi, the Chinese money, is going to replace the dollar. It's a huge economy, not gigantic debts like we have, but who knows? Who knows? It takes a while. It's not a convertible currency now, so it cannot be the world's medium of exchange or reserve currency, but they say they're working towards that.
Do you think that China is a place that could give investors a better return over the next 5 or 10 years versus US? I mean, are you thinking that the US is getting to that point where it's already surged so much that it's due for a big correction, but there might be gains in China to be had?
Well, when you say gains, the Chinese economy has certainly been the strongest economy in the world for many years, certainly much stronger than our economy. Our stock market has been stronger than theirs for a variety of reasons, mainly money printing. The Chinese have been more restrained. They still have interest rates in China. They still have real bond markets. But the US stock market has been much better and bond market much better because of money printing. Will it be better? Certainly the economy will be better. I own Chinese shares, but I own them because they're down. The US market's at all-time highs. The Chinese market is not. So I prefer to buy markets that are not making all-time highs, and China's one of those markets.
Nice. And one of the things I was kind of thinking about was, there's been such a craze recently with these meme stocks. I'm sure you've heard about it. And the question I have is, I look at the similarities from the periods I've traded through, whether it's the dot-com craze or the housing craze. And you just have this massive amount of this investing public meeting online, running these stocks to levels where fundamentally it makes no sense. But shorts, it's so hard to short them right now. I mean, where's the end game? Do you think those eventually collapse? I mean, is there anything there?
Gareth, we're seeing a lot of signs that we always throughout history have seen near the end of a bull market. Lots of new people telling their friends it's very easy and it's fun and you can make a lot of money. SPACs usually come around at the end of a bull market. All this has happened before. This is not the first time I've seen this movie. And you too, it sounds like.
Yeah.
Yes, it will come to an end. I don't see that I see bubbles forming. Apple, Tencent, Samsung, some of these stocks never go down, but that's happened before. And not everything is skyrocketing yet, so I don't see it a full-fledged bubble yet, but it will come. All the signs are there. Unfortunately, I'm not good at market timing, so I don't know. I doubt if I'll get it right when to get out, but I see all the signs. This is not my first rodeo, Gareth.
No, certainly not. And every word you say is things that people and myself pay attention to. So yeah, it's great to hear your perspective on things. Do you think that the U.S. markets, like, I mean, are the U.S. markets someplace you're still invested for now, or you've basically moved out of the U.S. markets?
I own U.S. shares. I haven't bought U.S. shares in a while. I bought other countries, China, Japan, Russia, places like that. But if I find something, of course. But I do know it's late in the day. It's late in the bull market. Gareth, the U.S. market hasn't had a serious real correction in over, 13 years?
Yeah.
It's never happened in American history, never. But it could happen 113 years. I doubt it. So we're probably getting near the end.
It seems like the longer the expansion or the market moves, the bigger the correction or the collapse has to be. And you just wonder at the situation with the country and the political kind of craziness going on. And then, you imagine a type of situation like 2007 and you say, well, what emerges from that? And that's something that I for sure think about and worry about for the country. So, yeah.
I hope your word 2008 was because of too much debt everywhere. Gareth, since 2008, oh my gosh, the debt everywhere has skyrocketed, gigantic amount of debt now. So the next bear market has to be the worst in my lifetime because the debt is so much higher. Now, Washington says, don't worry, won't be any more bear markets. We have things under control. Well, if you believe them, don't listen to me.
I mean, it's mind-boggling just because, they've brought out all these things about, more spending to stimulate the Fed doing more. And you say to yourself, okay, well, we know there's going to be another collapse, but then, I mean, what can they do at that point to stimulate? I mean, you can only print so long before you actually cause way more hurt than positive effects in the short term.
But they don't think about that, Gareth. They think about keeping their jobs. They don't care about you, your children, your grandchildren. They think about their jobs. And the only thing they know is to print, and maybe buy more assets, sell more bonds. They don't care about you and me.
Oh, sobering for sure, Jim. And it is unbelievable. And I think it's good to talk about it because, there's so many people out there that are just so hyped up on, quick money in the markets and the running meme stocks and cryptocurrency. And then you have to also recognize that there will be a time where markets don't go up and things collapse. And you think, oh, a 10% correction, but in reality, it's more likely a 70 or 80% drop off of these highs. And that's scary stuff, especially, for a lot of people in the US who are doing better, but not amazingly well.
Well, Gareth, I suggest that people who think that way watch Titan Traders, read some history, see what's happened always in the history of markets, always, and get some knowledge. And once they get some knowledge, they'll get worried and maybe they'll get prepared. You don't have to lose money. you can be prepared and maybe even make money.
Wonderful. And so I had one last question for you, and it's one that I think a lot of the viewers will want to know. And the question I have for you is, you've written many books, great books. If there was one book that you think could help people the most right now, which one would you suggest that they go out and get?
Of my books,
Yes, absolutely. Your books.
well, I guess I've had a few bestsellers in Japan in the last couple, but unfortunately they're in Japanese. I can't even read them. I hope they say what I wrote in English, which was then translated. I guess so. Street Smarts was my last book in English that I would suggest. It's been a few years, but you can read, if you can read Chinese or Japanese. I've had one recently called Crisis Investing, or An Age of Crisis. I've had one called A Warning to Japan, but these books are not in English. So who knows? I don't even know what they say. I know what they're supposed to say, but who knows? But Gareth, I'm not here to sell anything.
No, you and for the record, Jim did not ask me to bring that up. That was purely on my side, and it's just, I think the books are useful. I think they're very insightful, and I do think it's helpful. So that's why I wanted to mention them. But is there any last thoughts you'd like to leave the viewers with? Anything that you wanted to get across?
Be careful. Be worried. Be worried. I know everybody says it's easy, it's fun, there's so much money to be made. I just say to you, be worried, be careful, read some history, watch Titan Traders, see how things really work over, problem, Gareth, is nobody learns the lesson of history. The main lesson of history is people don't learn the lessons of history. Most of this has happened before, so you have different names, but it's all happened before. So be worried, be careful, educate yourself.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for your candid responses, and I love the honesty, and I think our viewers appreciate that. Thank you so much, Jim, for coming on and sharing your knowledge with everybody. I can't stress it enough how much we appreciate it. So thank you from Titan Traders and myself.
Gareth, let's not wait so many years till we do it again. Okay.
Absolutely,
Always
100%.
fun. Always
Thank you
fun.
again.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.